Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar in the Ingram Spark sessions. The webinar is Want to Be a Bestseller with Sherry Stotch and Robin Cutler. Before I actually hand you over to our talented co-host, there are a few housekeeping items that we should go over. First off, we will be live tweeting this event, and we would love if you guys want to join in on the conversation. There's actually a little widget right next to the presenter that will automate the hashtags for you, so you can just tweet what you're feeling at the time. And we've got a couple great people here that will be tweeting with you and engaging with you on Twitter. If you have any questions at any time during the presentation, there's a widget also on your presentation screen that will allow you to ask those questions. We've got a couple people here that are ready to help answer any of those.
Here I am. Sorry.
Okay. Well, Robin, we're live right now, so we're just going over. Yeah, we're just going over all the housekeeping stuff right now.
Okay.
We'll have a couple people on the Q&A to answer those questions, and at the end, we're going to have 10 minutes where we'll take some of those best questions and talk about them live so everyone can hear the answers to them. Another little thing is there's a printable version of the presentation in the bottom left-hand corner that you can print out, and if you want to take notes on that or have it for future reference, you can do that as well. This is being recorded, so once we're through, I think it's 48 hours, we'll be sending it out, and then we also will have it on our YouTube channel, where you can access it at any time, share it with colleagues or friends, coworkers that you think might find it relevant. Also keep in mind that we do this every month. We usually have a different topic every month, anywhere in the whole self-publishing process. So keep that in mind. Be on the lookout on our social media channels to find the registration links for those. And usually it's, I would say the third week in the month that we hold them. So that's all I have for you guys today, and I would love to introduce you to Robin Cutler. She's the Senior Manager of Ingram Spark, and she has kind of pioneered Ingram Spark here at Ingram, and I'm going to hand over the reins to her.
Well, thank you so much, Kristen, and I apologize. I was just a few minutes late. I've been tied up in meetings all morning, and so I'm joining you just a few minutes after you got started. So thanks so much for starting us off here. I'm so excited today to have our guest Sherry Stotch with us. Sherry is an author, a PR professional, and the CEO founder of Where Writers Win. She helps authors and has been helping authors for decades now, helping them set up their websites, market their books, train them about how to be successful in the global marketplace, trains them about media, and she's going to be talking to us and walking us through all the different parts of her program, Where Writers Win. Sherry lives and works in Charleston, South Carolina, which is also my hometown, and we bump into each other fairly frequently on the writer kind of conference schedules, and she's just a fantastic person and very articulate and knowledgeable, and we're really lucky to have her join us here today. And just as a side note, which is one of the most interesting things I know about Sherry, is she is a former professional billiard player, or maybe you still are. I don't know.
No, retired. No, I'm retired. Sign of a
I think that is so fantastic. Yeah, so you want to just kick us off, maybe tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing over the last 30 years with authors and helping them find success?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Robin. I'm thrilled to be here, especially with the Ingram Spark crew. They're always a lot of fun. So, and I think you and I have talked about this a little bit before, that one of the big problems out there for authors is, what to do first, where to do it, how to do it. It can be challenging, it can be overwhelming, and as authors, mostly we just want to write. We don't want to mess with a lot of those things. So that's kind of how Where Writers Win was formed, just to establish a place where authors could find any of the resources they needed to help them on the marketing side of things to get out there and sell more books. And that becomes ever more critical as there are ever more new books out there, fighting for shelf space and fighting for competition between readers. So it's definitely necessary to educate ourselves. I think that's why we so appreciate these webinars. Because as an author, we all need to, constantly be keeping up with the new information out there, and that's what we kind of try and help do. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the first slide. I think here is and we should be on what is an influencer. Can you see that one as well?
Uh-huh.
Okay, perfect. So what we want to talk about today are these influencers and why we need them, why they're important. And it's probably not a good English word, influencer, because it always gets underlined on my Microsoft Word documents. But basically, an influencer is anyone who has that power to reach more people to talk about your book. So, when we're on Twitter and Facebook and things, that's great. We're reaching out to potential readers, and that might be somebody else that they might share with other people. But an influencer are those folks that we know share with other people, and those include book reviewers that are writing, talking about your book to their own audience, book bloggers, and nowadays what we call vloggers, which are the video book reviewers that have their things up on YouTube. Book clubs, both virtual book clubs and live book clubs, those are huge influencers nowadays. If a book club gets a hold of a book, and this has happened in many markets, there was a story just a year or two back of a book club in Nashville that got a hold of a book. They read it. They started talking about it. They passed it on to another local book club, and pretty soon the entire state of Tennessee was buzzing about this book. The publisher had to go in and do a reprint. The book had been out of print for 10 years.
Oh, my goodness. So isn't that it's a great story.
It's a true story. So what it does is, these book clubs and things, these influencers not only can talk about our books to more people and help sell more books, but they also extend the shelf life of a book, as we're seeing very plainly happening out there. Libraries, of course, important resources. Indie bookstores, we love our indie bookstores. Conferences and festivals, which a lot of authors don't think about until after they go to one and they say, wow, I wish I would have spoken there. All conferences and festivals, and there are hundreds of them across this country every year, are always looking for new talent and the newest books out there and things. And then what we call affinity groups, which an affinity group is going to be wholly dependent on what you write. So if you write about business, say, in the nonfiction sector, are you reaching out to local Rotary groups? Or if you write about an issue, if you write about animals, are you reaching out to farm sanctuary groups? They're all different sorts of affinity groups that we help folks identify. And that, in a nutshell, is what we're going to talk about a little bit today is now that we know who they are, we have to try and figure out a way to go out and find them. So, obviously, we can go Google searching. Yeah.
I was just going to say the word vlogger. That's the first time I've heard that, and I'm so glad that you explained exactly what a vlogger is.
Yeah, vloggers, and we maintain a list of them in the Winner's Circle too. And there are we only keep like the top couple hundred rated ones in there, but there are new ones popping up all the time. Typically, most of the vloggers, they get on YouTube and they talk about a book. They talk right to their audience, and some of them have huge, huge followings They're not doing as much nonfiction or things. Most of the bloggers that we're seeing are in the fantasy, paranormal, sci-fi space, younger folks doing it, and to younger audiences, but another brand new way to be talking about books. We love it.
Yeah, and one of our top-selling books in Ingram Spark for 2015 was actually a book of poetry, and the poet, how he managed to sell so many books was through Instagram and blogging. Oh. I guess it was blogging and Instagram, and he did a little video and did some sort of compilations and photographs and things like that, and found a huge following on Instagram.
Oh, that is wonderful. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. I mean, this stuff does work. I mean, that's the fun part. It really does work. So, so when we go looking for some of these influencers, obviously social media is a big one. Google search can be one way. One of the things that we had looked at initially when we started doing websites and social media training and things for authors are these blog tours. But we were we were disappointed in some cases, and I'm not saying that there aren't good blog tours out there. There are, and some of the major publishers organize their own, and those can be nice. The biggest problem is a lot of them are, the independent ones are sort of overcharging authors really, and not necessarily matching the author's genre to the blogs that they're putting them on. So, and when we looked at maybe doing blog tours of our own, we said, you know what, instead of redoing that, recreating this wheel all the time, why don't we put together a resource where an author can come in and find the best bloggers for their genre and do it themselves, and not have to pay somebody thousands of dollars to do that, but just go in and pitch them in the right genre, who's doing the best in theirs. For anyone that's been out there doing a little bit of this searching on their own, you'll find 5,000 and more book bloggers out there, and I like to joke, but it's kind of true that 4,500 of them are little Johnny who can't blog this weekend because he got grounded for not doing his homework, which means that some of them really don't have a big audience. It's mom and dad checking out their book review, which is nice. But we go out and we identify the bloggers with the audience. We bust them into genres so that you can go right to the literary fiction tab if that's what you write, or right to the thrillers tab if that's what you write, and find the folks that have the best traffic and are doing the best job for authors in that genre to pitch. And there ends up being somewhere between 75 and 100 or so good vetted ones in each. And then, of course, we encourage discoverability tools. AirBook is one that we like, Publish. BookBub is a great advertising tool. And then, of course, we have what we call the Winner Circle, which began with these book bloggers and then started expanding to other areas as we began identifying other needs that authors had for these influencers. So,
Sherry,
Yes.
Well, let me just jump in here because I just want to just point out that what you've done is really just a huge benefit for everyone in terms of vetting, where you're going to get your the most value, and that is no small thing. And one of the reasons I love you so much is that takes so much work. And just trying to figure out, who's a valuable resource and who's not. And the Winner Circle, and what you've done with that is just pretty phenomenal. And then secondarily, I just want to mention in your discoverability tools here, AirBook. AirBook is a company that's been around for a few years now. A lot of authors probably don't know about them, but Ingram recently acquired that company. And what AirBook will do, and we'll probably have a webinar on AirBook down the road for Ingram Spark. But AirBook basically allows and makes it possible for authors to sell their work directly from their own site and from their own social media. So I just want to give a plug in there about AirBook. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. They're wonderful. And yeah, that's exactly the kind of resources. And thank you. Thank you for the kind comments. It's, there is, there's no magic here. There's no substitute. And like I said, we were recreating the wheel for a lot of customers. And so we ended up just taking a break. We took a year basically we brought in a big team of interns and had them start researching who all is out there and, who's doing the best and sorting through all that. So, when we get to the reviewers part of that, which I should have up now on the slide, get to the right reviewers, a big part of the problem that we ran into is you get to a great book review site if you're a reader, and then you try and find out how you're going to submit to them as a writer, and it is not so easy. And that's actually good. You'll find that the best book review sites are catering to the readers, not the authors, but you still need to figure out how to get to them. So that was part of our research. And so we began doing this whole directory where we give folks a live link right to the reviewer's site, but also to the submission policy page so they know what is required of them. Some reviewers require physical copies of the book. Some want the reviews only in advance. Some will take them post-publication. Some reviewers do author interviews. There are some reviewers, and some good ones, editorial reviewers. If an author is indie published, including Library Journal, Publishers Weekly, Chanticleer Reviews, that charge for reviews, and others that are free. So we let folks know everything that there is in there to know about them, and then we rate them and give you any notes. And then, we go in and keep up with them too, because sometimes there are great new ones, and then sometimes others go dark, or they just for a prolonged period get overwhelmed and they stop taking new submissions. So that's one of the big labor parts, I guess you could say, of the site is keeping up with those. And then the next thing I know
Can I ask you just a quick question about that? Because this came up in a question to me just this week, where I had an author ask me, is it good policy, or is it okay to send a PDF of your book to a reviewer? What do you think about that?
I always ask. So it's the same rule of thumb as if you were querying an agent or editor. You send them a query, you give them, what a couple of people say about your book, like, if you have any great book blurbs from famous people, that kind of thing. You give them a very brief synopsis about your book, a very brief bit of info about you, and then say, I would like to invite you to read this. I know you pick and choose between books. I'm prepared to send it in the format that you request. And ask them if they don't have the information up on there, or if you find a new one or an Amazon top reviewer, and they will tell you. Some will accept PDFs, and some require the physical copies. And if you want to get reviewed by them, you have to do what they want.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So now this I know is one of your favorite parts, Robin. So this is our live and virtual book club section of the Winner's Circle. And that's, those are the tough folks to reach. We love live book clubs, but unfortunately, unlike reviewers, most live book clubs, with the exception of some national ones, like the Pulpwood Queens, they don't have big fancy websites. They're you and me and 10 or 20 of our friends getting together once a month for wine and cheese and book discussion. And yet they're huge influencers. So what we do is we work with, we poll indie bookstores for if they're running book groups out of their stores. We do surveys in different forums. We put word out to our authors all the time, and if they speak at a book club, they let us know, and then we add it to the circle so that other authors can pitch them. And then what we've developed is this map. So you'll see a little tiny version of this map on there. And when you click on a dot in the state, up will come the list below the map of any of the book clubs that we've identified to date in that state that have agreed to be on this list and have agreed to read debut author fiction or nonfiction. We have some club. We actually have one club that just reads cookbooks.
That's the one I want to join.
Yeah.
um,
yeah.
And I want to make sure that my book club that I'm part of is listed in the state of New Mexico, because I'm sure
Yes, you must.
they would love to be
not,
listed. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if it's not, we have a link to the survey there, and it's just a few quick questions where you can put in the info about them, and then we get the book club up on the site. And it is, and again, we do that, and it's it's private, and that's one of the things. We don't make it like a public thing. It's just to Winner's Circle members, so it is only other authors that are buying into the Winner's Circle that have access to that. We don't just randomly put stuff out there, because we know that can be a concern to a book club too. So, we're protective of their privacy. We also give folks templates within the Winner's Circle of how they should pitch a book club, to be polite, because these people have been very respectful and kind to put their club on the site, and we need to be respectful of that as well. So.
Yeah, that's it. This is huge. I don't know any other place that you can go and get this kind of information. I don't know how you've done
No,
it.
thank you. Yeah, a lot of sweat labor. Yeah, but it's not. It's not really. It really is fun, because every time somebody finds a new book club or we get another one on our survey site, we all kind of jump up and down. It's exciting. It's a little bit of detective work, and you get enthused and excited when a book club says, yeah, we want to see new author stuff, or a new indie bookstore jumps in there. So we do a similar thing that I've shown the slide for here on Connecting with Bookstores. And we put lists of indie bookstores on here. The majority of these are indie bookstores, also come from the American Booksellers Association, so we know they're active. We let folks know, what kind of stuff that they do. We don't typically put many used bookstores on here, or college bookstores. Rather, we're looking for the kind of bookstores that we know do author events. And then we have
the same with libraries, right? The same with libraries.
And the same with libraries. We have a whole separate listing for library, over 20,000 of them. That's actually a Google Doc. But now here's the thing. Anybody can go to Where Writers Win, and they'll see it at the bottom of any Where Writers Win, writerswin.com page. There'll be a tag there that says, visit your local libraries. And the reason that we did that is because even though it was probably the most work initially to put together, especially linking a lot of these to the actual library site, we feel like libraries are free, and so that information should be free to any author to come in and find. So anyone can come to writerswin.com and find that list.
That's fantastic.
And then after bookstores, we also decided, when we were talking about these influencers, as I mentioned early on, the whole events and competitions thing. So writer competitions, we know a lot of authors that are doing them. Some offer cash prizes, which is valuable if you're taking some time off work to finish your book. Some offer guaranteed publishing contracts. Some a combination of both. Some are just for prestige, to be able to say, I'm a Faulkner competition winner, that sort of thing. All of those things, again, can help us sell more books. They all have different deadlines. They're all operated by different people. So we developed a really fun interactive calendar where you can go to the calendar in the Winner's Circle and find the upcoming competitions, and also find all those upcoming conferences and book festivals. Again, a great place to start and to work on. It's good practice getting in front of an audience too. Doing these, you'll tend to get bigger audiences than individual book signings if you can get into one of these festivals. And there's some amazing festivals out there, and all the festivals, and I know you and I have both been to a lot of them. I mean, they'll have anywhere between 50 and 150 authors there.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, so that's it's great, and there's some huge ones in there, and then there's some smaller ones, and some very Killer Nashville is a great example of one that just delves into that genre, thriller, mystery kind of stuff, and So it's just, there's tons out there, but again, and you can go Google searching, and yes, you'll eventually happen upon these too, but again, our whole job is to have a one-stop shop. You can come here and find anything that you're looking to find. And then let's talk a little bit about, so yes, this is just an also behind the curtain. This is part of the whole Winner Circle subscription thing. We have some free online tools for authors in there. We have deals and steals, which is discounts off of other things. So sometimes it's a discount off a writer's conference. Sometimes it's a discount off of conversion services, whatever folks are kind of looking for in there. We have video training panels with really cool people in publishing. You're in there, Robin, among others. So we have all the PubSense Summit and PubSmart videos from the last couple of years are in there, so there's some really cool panels. We have a lot of blog directories in there so that if people are looking to get their own blog on their author website listed in different places, we give suggestions for where you can do that for free. And then we have a lot of templates and tutorials, and even when somebody just signs up for our list, they'll get a link to one that's a fun one that we've been using lately for clients too. It's just it's an author monthly planner, so it kind of gives you some idea of what to do when. I know that we've talked about this before, and we talked to a lot of authors about this. All of this can be overwhelming, but it all doesn't have to be done in the next week either. And that's what I think folks don't understand. You know, we give you sample press releases and tip sheets and all that kind of stuff, but this is all stuff that you can be doing ongoing. So you can be out there pitching a reviewer every week, and you can be pitching a new bookstore every week, and you can be talking to a new library every week. It's just sort of pacing yourself and getting yourself out in all those different areas while keeping up with some of that social media and doing that slow build.
So Sherry, that brings up a really good point, the part about it can be overwhelming. So yeah. if you're a new author and you've just finished your book and you've gotten it polished and it's ready, to be published, I know that as far as reviewers go, it's really kind of important sometimes to plan your book and the actual publication date to allow, for what we call in the industry pre-publication reviews. Do you want to talk
Correct.
A little bit about how important that is to your book and the launching of your book?
Yes, absolutely. And people, we tell folks they want to get their author website up typically 6 months before publication, so they can start building up their author social media, because again, that social media isn't, it's not about who dies with the most Facebook fans wins. It's about using that social media to drive folks back to your website, where they'll be able to learn more about your book, where they'll be able to pre-order your book, where they'll be able to download your book club questions, which is something we also advise authors to do. If you want to be a book club read, make sure that you develop that list of 10 to 20 book club questions, or what some folks call a reader's guide. It's a good thing to include at the back of your book, but also on your site and to talk to people about once in a while on social media. And then those reviewers, when I showed you that chart, besides that submission policy page, we have one column so that you can go in and sort by, do these reviewers take work post-publication or only pre-publication? And we always have them sort for that so that they take the pre-publication reviewers and pitch them first. Because there are there's at least a dozen or so, depending on the genre, that will only take it pre-publication. And I'm not talking about, 30 days in advance of publication now. Most of the pre-publication reviewers, if they're telling you on their submission policy page, we only take work pre-publication, that means 90 days in advance. So before that book has an on-sale date, an author needs to that 90 days out in front of it. If you want, or if you think that your book is going to be a consideration for one of these big reviewers. And all the big ones have that policy now. So, your Publishers Weekly and Library Journal and Shelf Awareness, a lot of them, they're all on a 90-day pre-post.
Yeah. So that's part of, your strategy as far as, bringing your book to market. Make sure, you're not just rushing it out, that you're giving it the best chance. And this is really what all the, the traditional publishers do when they are launching, their line of authors. They are absolutely setting it up, to make sure they are taking advantage of pre-publication reviews and starting, the buzz before you even start, your publishing campaign. So, so it's really important that you build that in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's very true. So, typically authors right now who are looking to publish this year, if they're ready with and what's called their ARCs, those advanced reading copies, then they can, start pitching reviewers now and then be out there in 3 to 4 months. If you don't even have that yet, that's kind of your first step, getting those first few copies out there and everything, and then moving on. So typically you need to be done pretty soon if you're still going to release this year effectively.
Yeah, so that's really great. And so, yeah, you've got such great things here. So how does somebody get started with the Where Writers Win?
So the way that it begins is we do, you can subscribe to our site just to read through things if you like. And that's just, we have an email sign-up form right on the website. And then we have tons of blogs. We blog 3 times a week. We're in the middle right now of a really fun author marketing series that we do on Sundays. And then we have other blog posts going on and a lot of guest bloggers on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then to access all the things that we talked about, the discoverability things in the Winner's Circle, finding those influencers, that's a subscription-based service, and it's $59.95 for a full year. But what we do with the special folks like Spark, yes?
I was going to say that it's just such a deal for all that you get here that I can't think of any other place that you can go and get this information as a new self-published author.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. No, you really can't, and that's been the benefit of it, and yet, it works both ways. And then we have a special offer for Spark folks, for anyone listening to the call, too. If you're not already a Winner's Circle member, you can join and use the code. There'll be a place on the page at the writerswin.com/join today link there where you can just type in Spark20, and it's going to give you $20 off that first year, so it's only $39.95. So less than $40, which is, less than a cup of coffee a month, basically. And it's been it's actually turned out to be an amazing tool for book publicists. So we have a lot of book publicists using the tool now, and they say it's, the one resource that they can go to every single day when they're out there looking for new folks, for when they have a new client come in too, and the most up-to-date stuff. So yeah, there's no kind of substitute for just being able to get to the right folks, and this is what we try and help people do.
Yeah, and how are you keeping it updated? That must be just a really daunting sort of task, with online and, all the new social media things that are happening.
Yeah, it is. We have a couple of folks that just go in and look over things full time. A couple of interns that work on that all the time for us. Then we have new people coming in and out doing special projects, like we had a couple just do the library project last year. And then, and still, and we also kind of rely on our author tribe too. So if they see a reviewer that's not working anymore, and it does happen, or we'll see them in the thriller genre that they're not working anymore, and then realize, we also need to get them off the literary fiction. They were doing both. So sometimes they go dark on us very, very suddenly because, again, we don't own any of those companies. They're all independent. So it is a matter of just going in and looking them up and finding the new folks and doing the legwork. But again, it's work, but it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun just keeping up with it. And what's the most fun is when an author, writes in and says, "Oh, I just got a book club." So.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Oh yeah.
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 So I just want to go back to this events and competitions in the minutes that we have left here. So,
yes.
and as you said, the book conferences, the writers' conferences, and especially I think the book festivals. A lot of the states now have these big 2, 3, sometimes week-long book festivals, which are really fantastic to see. South Carolina now has a pretty big one. And
yes.
If you should at least attend those events and pitch, the festival, to be part of a panel, to be able to speak, because you'll be able to get in front of, hundreds, if not thousands of people all at one time. It elevates you to those festival organizers, and, especially within that community, it can extend out to the reviewer, of that state newspaper or local newspaper can find you there and suddenly, be interested in you as an author. So it has a lot of tentacles. Yeah, those things have a lot of tentacles. Once it's kind of like whenever you get up and speak in front of a group, it gives you cachet and establishes you not only as an important writer, but as sort of a thought leader. And despite, regardless of whatever your book, the genre is of your book, especially if it's nonfiction, I think this is really important. It establishes you sort of as an expert in whatever field you're in. And so I really encourage you to do that.
Absolutely, exactly right. Yeah, we call that being, a credible expert in your field, which is why we also, encourage the blogging so that readers get more of a sense of an author's voice. But those competitions or those conferences and book festivals, another good thing that authors underestimate them for, Robin, is getting to potential authors just to do some cross-promotion. So say your book isn't even ready for publication yet, and it's just in editing, but there's a book festival coming up around the corner. You really need to be going and introducing yourself to and meeting the other authors that write work similar to yours, whether they write contemporary fiction or historical fiction or whatever, because they will potentially be wonderful contacts for you. More established authors tend to really enjoy mentoring and helping new authors on the block, and there are also potential for book blurbers. So, if you're looking for somebody's big voice to be on the front of your book, and we have this happening actually with an author now he's written a new legal thriller, and so he put his feelers out to a New York Times bestseller legal thriller author. Just said, would you mind taking a look and think about blurbing my book? And the guy was wonderful and very quick to say, yes, I'd be happy to. So that exists out there. And authors underestimate that, but other authors can be your most powerful allies out there. That's the beauty, I think, of this business. They really do. They're not so much in competition because, yes, we're all authors and we're all kind of in it together, but we all write something different. So I find way more that we can connect to authors to each other and have them help each other out.
And that's been exactly my experience in all the writer conferences I've gone to. Sherry, exactly what you're talking about. It's very collaborative and welcoming as a community. And you as an author, really, you're doing yourself a disservice by not plugging yourself directly into those kinds of communities.
Yes, exactly. I agree. Yeah.
So, Kristen, are there questions that we can maybe answer? Any people on the line have provided us or anything we can?
Yeah, We do. We have just a few here. One, Jane was wondering, where is the best place for indie authors to print their arcs?
To print their art, to print their book?
Oh,
no,
ARC,
they're
sorry.
ARC.
Yeah.
Oh, art.
ARC.
Art. Yeah. Do you want me to do that? Or do you want to do that?
Yes, I'm going to let you field that one, Robin.
Okay, so as many of you, if you're an Ingram Spark customer, you know that we offer print on demand as part of Ingram Spark. So one of the best things to do is you can set up your book, prior to publication, and just use us as your printer, and then you can even when your book is in our system, you can even provide the address of where that book needs to go. We can send it directly out to whoever you want us to send it to. We can send it back to you, and then you can send it where you want. And then when your book's ready for, actual publication, you can just upload a new cover or interior, however you need to do it, over that same title that you've already set up, and then your book's ready to go, as a print-on-demand book. So Ingram Spark, it offers that. There, you can go to Kinko's for that matter, but really the best, and you want to give your book especially as an art, the professional look and feel of a real book, and so that's why Ingram Spark does a really good job with that. But Sherry, please
Yes.
Respond with any others.
Yeah, no, actually that's a lot of the authors that I work with who work with Spark or through publishers who work with Spark have found that to be the case. Have done their ARCs that way, and they can say, advanced reading copy right on the cover of them. But yes, having them look just like the book, I find is way more effective than galleries. And it also gives you a last chance, even though you think that book might be ready. As you send it out to a few reviewers and stuff, the beauty is if they find those errors, first of all, trust me, they'll be the first ones to tell you. But second of all, if it says advanced reading copy on there, well, then that reviewer understands that there are bound to still be errors and changes to be made, but it also kind of gives you a last sweep to be able to do that. It sort of makes those reviewers other effective beta readers out there, and is a chance, when you're printing out those ARCs, because we all know that, looking at the printed pages, the manuscript pages, or looking at it online isn't the same thing as reading that book yourself. And I encourage all authors to order themselves an ARC and for a few of their friends, because no matter how well and how carefully and how often it's been edited, you're going to find that one tiny little thing that you wanted to change. And now this gives you the opportunity to do that.
And that actually is one of the major benefits to doing your book as a print-on-demand book to start, so that it's easy to just upload a new corrected file. That file is the one that is printed with every order after that, and so you can ensure that you're always have the most up-to-date book out into the marketplace.
Yes, I agree.
Any other questions?
Another question?
Yeah, we have another one. This is for Sherry. Do traditionally published authors benefit from being a part of the Winner's Circle too?
Yes, absolutely. I'm a traditionally published author. And that's one of the ways I cut my teeth on learning some of this stuff is through my own books. And yeah, it was nice to have some bookstore support from the author or from the publisher and everything, but at the end of the day, how was I going to go out and find more people? So we have both. We have, and probably right now, I would say maybe a 60-40 split between indie authors and traditionally published. Probably 40% of the Winner's Circle members are actually traditionally published authors using these resources, and or their publicists. A lot of traditionally published authors will have a publicist assigned to them, or they will hire their own publicist. and, buy your publicist a membership, because you will pay $39.95 for them to already have access to a lot of stuff versus them charging you an hourly to go out and find that same information.
So that's kind of interesting, the split between traditional and indie authors that you work with. So it's
yes.
Even though you might be self-publishing and you have to do all this work and bear all the expense, the thing that is probably good for you to know is that even if you're traditionally published, you probably are still having to invest in the promotion of your own book. And I found that true with authors that I've worked with in the past, that, the publisher doesn't do everything. And so there's always going to be something, even if you're traditionally published, that you're going to be kind of responsible for and can help, with the publishing effort. Don't you think, Sherry?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, a lot of authors and a lot of publishers are telling authors these days, especially with shrinking advances and things. So I know an author, I'm not going to name the publishing company, but it's a traditional publishing company. She got a $12,000 advance on her debut novel, and the very thing that the author, or that the agent and publisher told her when she got the deal is that we expect you to take that money and go get yourself a marketer and a website and a publicist.
Yeah. So So you need the winner's circle, whether you're traditional or whether you're an indie. Just as you kind of pointed out, it's great just to have your publicist sign up for this program.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of publicists. If they want more information, you can feel free to share that code with them too. That's totally fine. We have a lot of publicists that they just come in and buy one for every one of their publicists, so they each have login access to it at bigger companies. So if you're, for example, if you're already with Smith Publicity or one of the bigger ones, they already are all members of the Winner's Circle, so you're all covered.
Oh, that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, because that's what happens in the publicity department of any publishing house. They actually have their own vetted list of exactly what you're offering here. Right. It's kind of amazing. Plus, you get all the information about, what's best, where to start first. Here's a calendar that you can access, just to kind of make it easy to help you kind of map out, the strategy and the timing for everything that you want to do in launching your book.
Right. Yes,
Sherry,
thank you.
Sherry, did you talk at all about some of the coaching services that you offer, or is this a good time to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So the other thing that Where Writers Win does is we do author websites. We create custom author websites. We use WordPress backend for them, and we optimize them. But most importantly, our whole business model is built on pushing an author out of the nest. I don't want to be an ongoing expense for any author, so our job is to sort of get in and get out. So we train them how to use the site, how to strategize, how to do those sorts of things. And then we also do author social media training. I do that one-on-one with authors myself. For the websites, I have a team of designers that works with those. The social media training, we get on the phone over the course of 8 to 10 sessions, where we help an author roll out their different social media sites and have them match across their branding with their website and things, but then also teach them how to find more warm bodies, basically. How to, it's not, again, we talked about, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't need our help getting traffic. He's doing fine all by himself. So what we try and do is teach an author that, you want to find the right people on Facebook that want to read your words. I know a lot of authors think that absolutely everybody will like their book, but really you kind of had a specific audience in mind when you wrote it. And that's who we go out and help people find, whether it's through Twitter or Pinterest or Facebook or a combination of the above. And again, all with the end game goal of getting folks back to that author website, whether you come to us with one or we build one or you build one yourself, and having them sign up for your list, get on your list to start getting your information where you can sell them your books and create a really vibrant reader community. And then we also we have somebody
I was just going to say, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that if I were a new author, just to have somebody help me with my website, would be a huge bonus for, getting started. So that's wonderful that you do that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's sort of all about the, any of us, and I'll just go ahead and admit it, I'm over 50. Any of us age 50 and over, probably 40 and over in some cases, but I like to call us what we call digital immigrants. Yeah, so all this digital online stuff, it's a native language to our kids and the next generation, but wasn't so much so to us. So sometimes we just need a little bit of a translator, and that's kind of what we come in to help folks do. We also do traditional media training. So if an author's going to get ready, going out on book tour, and needs some just, speaker tips or needs help developing their talk, we do a lot of that with authors. We have also a resource, amazing, he's absolutely amazing, his name is Evan Staley, that just does, and very inexpensively, by the way, for Winner's Circle members, video book trailers. And they're outstanding. This particular individual, he matches music to the tension and actually creates book trailers that really want to make you read the book. They're fascinating. So those are some of the other ways that we have. Oh, yeah, they're great.
That's fantastic.
They're great. And we have we have links to
I think
those.
we're running out of time.
No problem. Do we have any other questions?
I was just going to ask everyone, if you do have any more questions, please submit them to the Q&A box. We'll wait a couple minutes for people to throw in their last questions there, and then if we've got any, I'll let you know. Let's see if anyone's throwing anything in there yet.
Let me mention too that if you do have questions, we're happy to answer them ongoing. I'll provide my email address for anyone that wants it. The email will also be on if you sign up to get our news or sign up for the Winner's Circle. You'll get information from us on how you can contact us. I do a lot of free consults for authors too. I'll give you 20 minutes and you can ask me any questions that you have on the phone. I have a calendar link that I can get you just for that, so that you can schedule a chat, and all the information about us is available on our site. So the call is not to talk about me. We know what we do. It's to talk about you and what your questions might be, and we do that with a lot of Ingram Spark authors.
That's fantastic. So Sherry, you mentioned you're an author. What are your books? Just FYI.
All right. So again, coming out of the misspent youth as a pool player. Now, my father and I launched a publication called Pool and Billiard Magazine, basically to feed my pool habit. When I was a youngster, I was 19, 20 years old. I had been a pre-med major and decided instead I was going to play pool for a living because it was infinitely more fun. And started a magazine basically to feed my pool habit. And it ended up becoming a very successful magazine. It still exists. It's now years old, a lot. I'm not going to say how many. And then at some point, a publisher, Human Kinetics, came to me. I was very, very fortunate in that aspect that I didn't have to go pitching anything. I actually wasn't looking to pitch anything. But they knew the magazine and they knew me playing on tour. So Human Kinetics out of Champaign, Illinois, that does a lot of sports titles, inner tennis, that type of thing, came to me and asked if I would write a pool book. And I said, well, if I could do it with my coach, I would, because frankly, most of the knowledge that I had was from him, so that seemed only fair. So, and then we could do sort of a he said, she said, and it was another chance to fight with my coach besides just over practice sessions. So that was fun. And so we did a book called Precision Pool for them, and then they came back and asked us to do a second book, A Pool Player's Edge. And then they came back within a few years of each of those books and asked us to do updated and full-color editions of those. So they've sold in excess of well over 100,000 copies. They've been very successful, and it's been a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun, but the most fun about it, I think, was just in getting me connected to other authors and realizing that I was way more interested in authors than I was in pool.
Yeah. Yeah, and Sherry also has organized big publishing conferences. One of the ones where I think I first met you, Sherry, was at the PubSmart conference in Charleston that ran for a few years, and that was just a fantastic event. So she not only can help you put together, a great plan for your book through Where Writers Win, but she also is very much in the industry. She can pick up the phone and just about get anybody that's anybody in the world of publishing to come to her conferences, to blog for her, to do anything basically that you ask them to.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and the PubSmart and PubSense conferences were basically to start having those questions, answering those questions among industry professionals of, let authors know the options available to them. There is no one option, and that's probably one of the biggest questions that you and I field a lot is, well, should I wait for traditional publishing, or should I, work with a partner publisher, or should I self-publish? And there's no one right answer. There's different things that work for different people, for sure, all the time. And our job is basically to help make it easier for you, whichever avenue you end up choosing.
Yeah, and I always think that you should write your book. Don't think about the marketing of it while you're writing. Be aware that you're going to have to attend to that. As soon as you're getting close to having something that's polished. But while you're writing, you really shouldn't think too much about or get up, because it's easy to get off track and become overwhelmed, I think. And the writing itself is so hard in and of itself.
That is
okay,
true.
Well, yeah. I think we're about done here, don't you, Kristen?
Yep. I just wanted to remind everyone that this was recorded, so you'll be able to view it on YouTube once we get it back, and then you'll also get an email within 48 to 76 hours with the link to the video again. So if you found it valuable and you'd like to share it, we would love for you to do that. And again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to Sherry and Robin, and we shared their contact information. It was really great to have Sherry. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Robin, for asking all kinds of great questions. This was a great time, and we hope everyone found value in it.
Thank you,
Great,
Sherry.
thank you. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for the chat. Appreciate it, ladies.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.